Morning everybody, and I'd like to open the meeting at 9:02. And thank you all for coming today. Let's see how we go. Could I have someone move them for the minutes of the ordinary meeting on the 11th of September 2024, please? Councillor Vincent.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 11th of September 2024 be confirmed.
I have a seconder. Councillor Davis. All those in favour? 9-0. Could I have someone move for the minutes of the special meeting held on the 24th of September 2024? Councillor Davis.
I move that the minutes of the special meeting held on the 24th of September 2024 be confirmed.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Brumpton. All those in favour? 9-0. Moving on to the agenda, 8.1, amendment to resolution. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move the council repeal resolution number OM 08202427 and replace with the council 1 advise the Department of Resources the council has no objection to term lease 0/230394 over lot 5 on TM59. 2, request for the inclusion of a covenant over lot 5 on TM59 to allow for continual access to all interested parties, adjacent property owners, leaseholders. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to sign the documentation in relation to this decision.
Have a seconder? Councillor Brumpton. Would you like to speak, councillor?
No, thank you.
Anyone like to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 10.1, Council Christmas and New Year closure 2024-25. Councillor Davis, you have a conflict?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to declare a conflict of interest for item 10.1. The description is Council Christmas and New Year closure 2024-25. The declaring councillor is myself, Amber Davis. The person with the interest is my husband, Wayne Davis. The particulars are that Wayne is currently employed by Maranoa Regional Council. It is a declarable conflict of interest, and although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have the perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Somebody got some words? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Davis participates and votes on agenda item
10.1.
10.1. Because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
I have a seconder. Councillor Vincent. All those in favour? 6-0. Councillor Brumpton.
I'd like to declare a conflict of interest on item 10.1, description Council Christmas and New Year closure 2024-25. Declaring councillor is myself. The person with the interest is my daughter, Erin Brumpton. The particulars of the interest, Erin is employed at Maranoa Regional Council. Type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest. Action, although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Somebody got some words? Councillor Vincent.
I move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Brumpton participates and votes on agenda item 10.1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Have a seconder. Councillor O'Neill. All those in favour? 6-0. Have we got Councillor Burkett?
Yeah, I declare a conflict of interest on item 10.1, Council Christmas and New Year closure 2024-25. Declaring council is myself. The person of interest is my sister, Elena Irwin. Particulars of interest, Elena is an employee of the Maranoa Regional Council. It's a declarable conflict of interest, and although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Anybody got some words? Councillor Seawright.
I declare it's in the public interest that Councillor Burkett participates and votes on agenda item 10.1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Seconder. Councillor Vincent. All those in favour? 6-0. Okay, 10.1, Council Christmas and New Year closure 24-25. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brompton.
I move that Council 1 approve the annual Christmas and New Year closure for the general workforce from close of business Friday the 20th of December 2024 and reopening on Monday the 6th of January 2025. 2, approve the closure of Yulbar Post Office on the gazetted public holidays only. All other business days will operate as usual. Australia Post has approved reduced operating hours over the Christmas period of 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. 3, approve the annual Christmas and New Year closures of Council's libraries in Jackson, Wallumbilla and Mungalala from close of business Friday the 20th of December 2024 and reopening Monday the 13th of January 2025. Sorry, could I just say closures of Council's smaller libraries there? Or the following libraries, because it's not all libraries.
Sorry, Councillor Brompton.
Approve the annual Christmas...
Sorry, Councillor Brompton, I have a conflict. I'm sorry, I would never have thought of it. Sorry, Kel, I have a conflict on this one as well. If I could declare when you're ready. So on 10.1, Council Christmas and New Year closure 2024, the declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Wendy Taylor. The person of interest is my brother-in-law, Ian Andrews. The particulars of interest is Ian works for council, Maranoa Regional Council. It's a declarable conflict of interest, and although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I would choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Taylor participates and votes on agenda item 10.1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Have a seconder, Councillor Vincent. All those in favour? Which would have to be 5-0. Thank you. Sorry about that.
We have to take the other votes.
We know
first,
do we
Councillor.
need to go back and do the others?
No, because
The moment you made, yes,
made aware. Yeah.
the moment you made aware.
Okay. Well, do I need to restart or just go restart?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. I recommend that Council 1 approve the annual Christmas and New Year I move that Council 1 approve the annual Christmas and New Year closure for the general workforce from close of business Friday the 20th of December 2024 and reopening on Monday the 6th of January 2025. 2, approve the closure of Yulbar Post Office on the gazetted public holidays only. All other business days will operate as usual. Australia Post has approved reduced operating hours over the Christmas period of 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. 3, approve the annual Christmas and New Year closures of the following council libraries in Jackson, Wallumbilla and Mungalala from close of business Friday the 20th of December 2024 and reopening Monday the 13th of January 2025. 4, approve the annual Christmas and New Year close down for the field-based operational teams of Roma, Bungle, Bendemeer, Waroo and Baringa, the Project Management Office and Roma Quarry, excluding those services identified below as essential services requiring skeleton crews, from close of business Friday the 20th of December 2024 to Monday 6th of January 2025. 5, approve that the Roma Waste Facility be closed to the public on Christmas Day the 25th of December 2024 and New Year's Day 1st of January 2025, and that 2 15-metre skip bins be provided outside the facility for public use for the days of closure. 6, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to communicate the annual Christmas and New Year closures to council employees, customers, residents and the general public.
Can I have a seconder? Councillor
Can I ask
Vincent.
a question? I'll
Yeah.
give it a second. Just with the changes to the waste facility, I know we just mightn't have anyone here to help with the talk to have to close them at certain times, will they be in a similar situation? Like we've got to prove only that Roma waste facility be closed on the public holidays?
Very good question.
And I've got another question, so we might have to, I lay this on the table until later in the meeting, because my question is a bit the same, Jane. When we say point 2, that Australia Post has approved reduced operating hours over the Christmas period, we probably need to put in what that is, because for me, Christmas period is between Christmas and New Year, but we're actually extending it. So is it from Friday the 20th of December to Monday the 6th of January?
For the
Like
post
what
office.
is Christmas period? What we need to
You
put
define the Christmas
let's
period.
let's define the Christmas period, and about our other.
Because I believe the waste facilities are looking to be finished by the 30th of December, so there might be that locked period.
Yeah,
Some
we
might
just need
be
to double
locked,
check the
some might
locking
be
period
locked.
for the others, because normally it's just the Roma one, but we just need to make sure what day we're closing those gates on the others, so.
So we,
I've moved to later on the table to further in the meeting.
everybody else agree? 9-0. Eleven point one, extension of contract supply and delivery of bulk sodium, what is it?
Sodium.
Hypochlorite, is that it? For swimming pools and other facilities. Do I have a mover? Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I move that council approve the extension of the contract for supply arrangements with Fuji, QCA Pty Ltd for the supply and delivery of bulk liquid sodium hypochlorite for another 12 months.
Seconder, councillor Burkett. I have a question. Is it at the same price? Is it a price thing?
I'll need to find that out. I believe because it's under a current agreement and it's part of our budgeted, we were forecasted for the same price, but I'll have to
It's
find
just
it.
if they're going to extend it, like, yeah. Would it have gone up is all I'm thinking. I don't know.
I'll take that on notice.
Yeah, that's all. Councillor Davis, do you want to speak?
Just that this is the current supplier that we're using to deliver this product and extending it another 12 months under this resolution.
Anybody else like to speak? Go the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Thirteen point one, Surat water schedule. Councillor Hancock.
I move I move that council
Do 12 point, oh no, sorry.
I move that council 1 receive and note the report. 2, increase, so we make number 3 2. Increase education on water consumption levels throughout the year via signage and communications. So number 3 is number 2. Yeah. Just, if you could just take the word improved out, just the signage that's already there, and communications. And then I have number 4, Carl, when you're ready. Oh, sorry, to be number 3 for you. Sorry, Carl.
Is a number 2 number
I'm not doing
3 contract conduct a 6-month trial?
No, I'm not doing that. Yeah. And number 3 is monitor the water usage and consider water restrictions if required in December 2024. Oh, yeah. So, Kel, if we can just, yeah, thank you.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Have a seconder?
So that other stuff underneath's gone.
That, yeah, I'm not putting number 2 in, yeah.
Councillor O'Neill? Would you like to speak, councillor?
I do.
Can I just a question? So, just want to get my head around it. So that stays, whatever the current water schedule is now, that stays as is?
That's what I'm putting forward.
So that's the one that's on, that's the current one there on that, that's not.
No, it won't be.
The one that's in
So they're having a water schedule still?
Yeah, so
Still having that?
So what I'm just moving is that they are, just, our normal water schedule stays as is for the time being.
Should we put that in there?
Put it in number 3. Maintain current water schedule and monitor the water usage.
Okay, yep.
Yep. That's, which is not the, did we put one on when they were running out of water previously? Is that now lifted?
We put a restriction on.
And that restriction's lifted?
Yeah, and it should just be our normal current water services that we have summer and winter.
So if something blows out the next, what?
So I'm happy to speak to it, but
I just got councillor Davis.
Gerard, Councillor Hancock, I just want to ask, do we need to strengthen 3 and just say monitor water usage and consider further restrictions if required at a council meeting in December, or a report to be brought back?
so the only way water restrictions can happen is via a council.
Okay,
A
no
council
worries.
meeting. It's a decision for this council to make.
Thank you.
Councillor Burkett?
Yeah, my question's similar, just that if it's, before December, like if they say, say in the next month, something happens and we go over allocation or things look a bit scary, we can come back before December, or is it?
Yeah.
Happy to speak. So my thoughts about that is we are now in September. We've got October, November. A report will come back to us in December, and in that December report, we'll find out where we're sitting, and we can make a decision in December to bring in that.
I get that part, but if something happens in between that, is there a trigger to say we bring it to a meeting earlier?
Oh, the officers can always
Well, that's
do
what
that.
this-
But if we go over our water allocation, which started in July, 1st of July, if we go over that before December, we are in deep trouble.
I'm just talking like water main breaks down, just to cover our backside. That's all.
You want to speak?
Yep, thank you. Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I just want to acknowledge the officers' foresight to try and bring something forward to the table so that this chambers are aware of how the watering happens in Surat and the 2 different systems we have, and B, that there is an allocation, and every year we do go close to it. So I do want to thank them for that, and I do want to say that I am absolutely supportive of our community in Surat being water-wise. The reason that I am not agreeing with the recommendation today is I just think it's the wrong timing. I think that we have come out of winter. We've got a new allocation that started on the 1st of July. We're only in September, and according to the officers' report yesterday, we're actually under where we were last year. And so there's no reason right now to cut out the Monday for watering schedule in Surat, because the community is actually sticking and staying under where they're meant to be right now. So that's why I think that we need to monitor the water usage, and then when we get to December, let's have a look at it again then, and then if we require restrictions, we then would look at putting in restrictions like we have in previous years. And it also provides us an opportunity to maybe take our community along on the journey and start the chat within the community that this may occur. Right now, if this resolution as it stands right now goes through today, councillors, it will be a shock to that community because we actually haven't discussed it with our community. So I just think that it will give us a few months to be able to start having that conversation within the community and letting them know that the consequences, if we don't stay under our allocation, will be that we will have to drop Monday. It provides that buffer to the community, and I think that's a fair thing for the community. They've had these watering schedules for many, many years, and I don't think it's fair just to cut them straight off. I also think that we do need to get our Surat bore up and going. That project's been there for a few years now, and our community's waiting for it. And if we can get the Surat bore up, that is further allocation. I actually think that we would get a fair bit of negative feedback if today we put forward the recommendation as sits, because we don't have our ball going. The community hasn't done the wrong thing at the moment, and there is still mechanisms that we can use further on in the year when we can monitor our water allocation and put restrictions on the community. So for those reasons, that's why I've moved the resolution today, that we just monitor and watch and educate our community via letters, communication letters, move, as we discussed yesterday, move that signage. We already have a water usage signage. It's down on the water treatment plant. We need to move that. We need to get it more visible for the community so that they can be an active part in trying to save the water for the Surat community and come under the allocation. So I think that there is things that we can do to assist the community before we just straight away cut off their the Mondays for their watering schedule. It also concerns me. I think we need to think about, if we're going to do that, we need that conversation with the community to consider, is Monday the right day? You know, like, does that mean that the last people they get to water on the Saturday, then they don't get to water again until the Tuesday or the Wednesday? Like, I just think we need that further understanding of how long between the days, so that would impact our community. The Surat community is blessed that they live on the banks of the Balonne, and I understand that that is something that they really are passionate about, and the fact that some people choose there so that they can use the raw water. They do pay for it. There is a water access fee. They do pay for the usage of that water, and so on this basis, that's why I moved the resolution today.
Anybody like to speak against? Councillor Brompton.
I'd like to speak against this, and I know I'm putting myself at risk being Parks and Garden as my portfolio, but I believe there's been a lot of discussions I've heard putting my hand up for council about equity across towns. Surat is very blessed to have river water, and as a gardener I'd love to have that, but I believe every other town has Monday as no watering, and I think it's time that we introduce this in Surat. I've seen through many other previous agendas and meetings that I've read and watched discussions around Surat. It shouldn't come as a surprise to Surat because they know they've been outliers for a long time. The bore wouldn't change what people are watering in their gardens, I understand, because it's the raw water that goes onto the gardens anyway. And I think in terms of every community being water-wise and there being equity around that Monday watering should not be allowed in Surat either.
Thank you. Anyone else for? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll speak in favour, although Councillor Hancock nearly lost me by saying that it was too great a gap between Saturdays and Tuesdays for those that are on those watering restrictions. Everywhere else in the region does that and can manage. I too am an avid gardener. I'd love raw water, but I think it's about timing. I do strongly support that we work with the Surat community to educate them on where it looks like we may have to head because of the continual impact on our water allocation. It will be no surprise that there are some challenges around that. We've been talking about this and with them for a couple of years now, but I do support that we monitor this through until December and that we reassess it then. Surat is a pretty resilient community, and if we do make the decision that there are some water restrictions that they can't water, with sprinklers on Monday, because the rules across the rest of the region is you can hand water on a Monday, then I'm sure they'll be able to do that if that's what we decide to do. But I'm supportive of this today because we are going to monitor it through until December and reconsider it, and then have that education piece in there about the water consumption into the Surat community. So I'm happy to support the resolution.
Anybody else like to speak against?
Yeah, I'll speak against the motion. I'm just going back through the figures, and while I applaud the Surat community for having the pride in their gardens and their community, I note that over the last 7 years, 5 of the 7 years we've gone over the allocation. I also note that in some of those years may have been due to some breakdown of bores and situations with the supply of water, but I believe that there's no chance that we're going to change the government allocation of 350 megalitres. And while the encouragement to have the Surat community water-wise, I just think that we're putting ourselves as a council at risk of a fairly significant fine, and $77,500 is not insignificant to this council at this stage of our budgeting process.
Thank you. Anybody else for? Anybody else against? Councillor Burkett.
Yeah, I was a bit on the fence. I wasn't this morning, but Councillor Hancock's nearly swayed me in the with the till December. But I'm a bit like Councillor Flynn. The risk of the fine going over. I think if we educate them early, before the summer period, we might be able. I think the benefits of river water far outweighs the bore water commitment in other towns, and I think they get more quality water in the lesser time than the guys on bore water. So I think if we can educate them early, I'm all for that across the region, educating on water-wise. But I think the risk, and also to bring it in line with the other areas, but I do think they're still getting a good benefit with the hours they've got. So I'll be maybe supporting.
Anybody else like to speak for? Councillor Davis.
Surprisingly, I am going to support this motion. I do agree. Like, council does have the possibility of, some financial. We could be fined for if we do take over our water allocations, and what the other councillors have said. That's correct. 3 times in the last 5 years, we have gone over that water allocation in Surat. But yeah, it is about the timing, and it's just about giving the community time and having those discussions. But it is definitely on our watch list as council, and something we'll be monitoring.
Anybody against? Anybody like to speak for? I'll speak for it as well, only because I could go either way, but because we're going to have another look at it in December, and in the meantime, let the Surat community know that they're on the watch list, so that they can, try a little bit harder maybe, or whatever that looks like. I don't live in town, so I don't know the impacts of water. I just turn on the tap, and so for me, it is what it is. But they do need to know though, like, if it's been the last couple of years, as Councillor Flynn said, it's 3 out of 5 years or whatever that is.
Excuse me, it's 5 out of 7.
Sorry, 5 out of 7.
5
5 out of 7. I mean, that's a lot. So maybe it is time that we tried to educate them to the Monday, and I didn't realise that Monday they could still hand water. So, but I will support it today as well, just for the fact that basically we need to educate them or have a conversation with them to bring them on the journey with us. So would you like to sum up, Councillor?
I would, thank you. Madam Mayor, that's my point. It's actually about the timing. I don't disagree that if we have to have water restrictions for the Surat community, that we shouldn't do that, and I've supported that in the past. For me, it is about the timing and the fact that we're just going to pull that trigger today and be done with it without having that conversation with our community. I think that I'm not an avid gardener, so I don't know the impacts of not being able to water between a Saturday and a Tuesday. I don't know that. I would like the opportunity to go and have a conversation with some of our avid gardeners in Surat to fully understand what that is, because I live out on a farm as well, and I just go and do my pot plants because that's all that'll survive. I'm not a gardener. I don't know the impacts of a watering schedule change overnight for the community of Surat. I think they deserve a conversation. Yeah. After all these years, I think they deserve a conversation. And I think that for me, the thing about equity across the community strikes me to be very challenging, because we actually can't be equitable across the community, because each community has their own individual assets that they have in their town. And the Surat community does have that asset of the Blonde, and they do need to be water-wise. I agree with that. But they shouldn't be assessed on that because they do have that asset and other towns don't have that asset, because the other towns do have other assets. We're going to do an amazing
pool and water park in Roma because it deserves it. That doesn't mean that every single town deserves that. We're going to do a Yule Bar in Yule Bar. They're also going to have a water park. That's fine. That's wonderful. We cannot necessarily be equitable across all the towns because each individual community in this shire all have their own individual aspects. And I do just think that we need to, in my opinion as a councillor, is I think we need to look at that and see how we can encourage the community to be able to use that asset wisely, but also enhance it because that is that for their little town. So I guess all I'm asking for is for some time to be able to communicate with the community, to bring them along on the journey and not just to cut it overnight.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Against? 6-3.
Thanks, Council.
Thanks, Matt. 14.1, Establishment of Biosecurity Advisory Committee.
Did you have to put your statement reasoning?
Do Councillor Vincent, you have a conflict?
I don't, yeah.
Just to double check.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yes, I'd like to declare a conflict of interest on 14.1, Establishment of Biosecurity Advisory Committee, declaring councillor as myself, Councillor Jane Vincent. Related parties, my brother Darren Humphreys. Darren is mentioned in the report as being a current collector of scalps. It's a declarable conflict of interest, and although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Somebody have some words? Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Vincent participates and votes on agenda item 14.1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Seconder, Councillor Davis. All those in favour?
I've got a conflict.
Oh, you got a conflict too, okay. What'll I leave? 7-2, 7-0, sorry.
I've got a conflict. I'd like to declare on 14.1, the description establishment of Biosecurity Advisory Committee, declaring councillor as myself, Councillor Cameron O'Neill. The person or close associate is Anthony Bim Strass. Particulars of interest: Bim is listed as an authorised landholder to receive scalps. Bim provided me with a personal endorsement during the most recent election. Type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest. And although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I'd like to move that it's in the public interest that Councillor O'Neill participates and votes on agenda item 14.1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Seconded by Councillor Seawright. All those in favour? 7-0.
Hand up.
All right, 14.1, we'll go again. Establishment of Biosecurity Advisory Committee. Do I have a mover? Councillor Burkett.
Can I move that we lay this on the table to come via a briefing? Because it's a pretty big thing that's gone on the past and there was a lot of conjecture. Now we're changing it. It'd be good to either get in contact with the guys that are on the previous advisory group or just have it come up at a briefing, if that's okay.
We actually have a meeting with them tomorrow morning, don't we? Oh.
In regards to the wild dog.
That's the wild dog one, councillor. So previously it was a wild dog advisory group. Is what was the previous advisory group. What the team's proposed to is actually expand it to biosecurity. So it's not just wild dogs; it's also pest weeds as well. So just re-establishing the working group, calling for nominations there. The group basically would meet every 3 months, and they previously it was wild dogs, but the intention is that they'd be talking. Pest weeds, wild dogs, making recommendations, and that group reporting back to council, like on, number of baits per hectare, scalps, committees and the like. So this report, I know it talks about the actual the scalp committee, but it's just really about probably the first point, which is re-establishing the group. But if council want to have a brief on the benefits of it,
I'd like to lay it on the table to a future meeting via briefing.
Yeah. Seconder? No, don't need a seconder.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
What are we going to get at a briefing that isn't in the report already? It's just about establishing the committee.
Yeah, but what if we don't want to? I'd like to see a bit more information or talk to the guys on the list. I was hoping to get in contact with a couple before this, but...
As in the authorised landowners?
The guys that were on the previous one, to see what they thought of it and how it worked, and without before...
The advisory committee or
Yeah.
the scalps?
The advisory committee, like...
The advisory committee was retired 5 years ago. We haven't had one.
We didn't have one last time.
No, I didn't say we did that last term. I just said the last advisory. Like, the guys are on the list. But if you don't want to support it, just don't...
What list are you talking about, though? I haven't seen a list of the old committee members.
The John Harleys, BIM Strath, all these
No,
fellas...
they're
that-
just dog,
No, there's
they're
another
dog
list.
scalps.
Yeah, this one. Advisory group. Peter Crook, King, Stewart, McLean, all those guys.
89, 88.
I have a question for you.
88.
For you, Brendan.
Yep.
Have you done anything about any sort of committee or anything in the biosecurity yet? No. Okay. Well, do you want to make sure?
Well,
Yes.
I've moved a motion.
Yep. I need a seconder? No. All those in favour of laying it on the table for a briefing? Against? 8. Okay, so do I have a mover? Councillor Vincent.
I'd like to move that Council 1 engage with relevant stakeholders to establish the Maranoa Regional Council Biosecurity Advisory Committee, the committee, which will provide strategic guidance and recommendations to Council on the management of evasive biosecurity matters, including plants and animals within the region. The committee will play a crucial role in advising on policy, funding options and the development and review of a biosecurity plan as required under the Biosecurity Act 2014.
Councillor, I do have Andy online there too, if you have any questions of the officer as well.
I have a seconder. Councillor C. Wright.
I have a question.
Yes.
Through you, Mayor, Rob, my understanding of that first point is once council gives the green light to start the process, another report's going to come back to council about this is what we're going out for. This is the engagement of those stakeholders. This isn't. We're not just going to get a list of people to come back here. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, it says engage with relatives. Engage as in...
So that's having those conversations
Yeah, but
with
engage
those
could
people.
mean engage as they're on.
We'd have to make that decision here, though.
Like the first word, engage with relatives.
Yeah, so I think
Engage.
Converse.
I suppose with.
rather than appoint, yeah, so I know what you're saying there.
Yeah.
So that's why I was probably pretty careful to use the word engage there.
Yeah,
just-
'cause
but
it's
so
so
rather
much-
than appoint, but
But I suppose with takes that away.
Do you want me to change it to consult with
Well-
relevant stakeholders?
Yeah, like the width's fine in there because it does take away, but when you engage, it's like you're going to put them straight on.
Happy to change.
Maybe a two
consult.
that a further report come back to council with the
Recommendation on.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
and that way
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
and
get
that-
your information too.
Well, that way I can contact some people. Just yeah, I'm happy with that.
Sounds like you want to be on the advisory committee, mate.
So, Councillor
I'll
Vincent, are
advise
you happy
myself.
with that? Point 2?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Seawright?
Yep.
So be provided a further report with a recommendation.
Is there anything she wants to add?
On arrange to establish the committee or something? Because,
Outcomes.
Yeah, because
on processes to establish that.
when it says consult with relevant stakeholders to establish
Yeah.
the Maranoa Regional Council Biosecurity Advisory Committee, when I read that, I thought they'd bring us back a list of names. So it's what we need to be very clear what we're asking to be brought back.
to work to establish,
But it's not.
Consult with relevant
yeah, it's not
not a
actually
definition.
getting it established, to work to establish,
to
work to establish, yeah.
work to.
The CEO's just said we've got Annie online if anybody's got any questions.
Hey, Annie.
Engage to.
Does anybody have any questions for
I
Annie?
don't know if we should be establishing. Consult the relevant stakeholders to.
Well, that's the outcome we want.
Consult the relevant stakeholders.
To work to establish, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that works.
It is 2, to finalise the establishment of an advisory, be provided a further report with recommendations on a process to finalise the establishment of the advisory committee. Finalise the establishment. Sorry, Jane, this is your motion.
I know, I was
isn't it?
just I was trying to think of, because you'll have to set up what they're going to
Yeah.
do and who's going to be on it.
Yeah, so that should be processes to finalise the establishment. That's
Does that work for everybody?
You work with that, Annie?
Are you there, Annie?
To work towards.
Can I make a suggestion, Councillor Vincent, that you delete consult with relevant stakeholders, and it reads that council work to establish the Maranoa Regional Biosecurity Advisory Committee, and then B would be provided a further report with a recommendation on the processes to establish the advisory committee. Yeah. That way, that's coming back to us to have a look at
The process.
the expression of interest, how that's going to run, and that's consistent with other advisory committees that we've had in the past.
And that
Or
will
is it
be-
actually that
Or
council establish?
Establish, yeah.
The council establish the Maranoa region, right, yes. We're saying that we're going to establish it, and then we're going to say, tell us what the process is going to be.
Correct, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Both Annie's on there.
Do we have to admit her?
Got
She's
to.
up there. Is she there?
maybe she's on. Is she on
Both
mute?
Annies are there.
Both Annie's are there.
Yeah.
Annie Buckley can't hear. No.
Yeah, it's got to, something happens when those two little things are
Icons.
beside their names.
Well, Mayor's got against
Which
the-
is-
Wendy wouldn't be able to hear
Which
through
is
the
video and mute, isn't it?
I think you pretty well covered it anyway,
Yeah.
councillor. so-
Establish, I think.
I can't control the screen.
Yeah, that's good.
Maybe we'll get you to read it out again if you don't mind, Councillor Vincent.
I move that Council 1 establish the Maranoa Regional Council Biosecurity Advisory Committee, the committee which will provide strategic guidance and recommendations to Council on the management of invasive biosecurity matters, including plants and animals within the region. The committee will play a crucial role in advising on policy, funding options and the development and review of a biosecurity plan as required under the Biosecurity Act 2014. 2, be provided a further report with a recommendation on processes to establish the advisory committee.
Okay, you happy with that, Councillor Sarah? Would you like to speak, Councillor? Sorry.
Will the report come through a briefing, or is it just coming back to council with point 2?
Maybe we put it through a briefing so we can nut out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Establish the advisory
good idea.
committee to be brought back through a briefing.
Via briefing.
Yeah, via a briefing.
Good pickup. All good. Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I would like to speak to this one. I have been contacted with people that were in the past advisory committee since coming into council, and they're quite keen to get back on that committee. They feel there's quite there's a lot of value, especially with the weeds problems we've got, the feral pigs and the dogs. So yeah, I'm keen to get this advisory group back up and running.
Anyone against? Anyone else like to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll speak in favour. I'm supportive of this because I do think this is a committee that will be of incredible value to council. I think the discussion that we just had and the amendments that flowed for the last 5 minutes has probably got to where Councillor Burkett, you would have seen it come via briefing, which is important, but so is making a decision today to in fact establish it. I think that shows a very clear message to the community that the biosecurity aspects of what we're responsible to undertake in our role as a council is important to this term of council, and there'll be an opportunity for councillors to have a robust discussion via a briefing with what will come back with the staff. But I do think this sends a very clear message to the community that biosecurity is important, and we've got landowners out there that equally believe it's important, are speaking to councillors about it, and I look forward to those people actively being involved in directing and advising council how we should address our biosecurity responsibilities.
Anyone else like to speak?
Yeah.
Councillor Burkett.
Yeah, I'm supportive of this, mate. I wasn't initially. I did, because some advisory committees have worked and some haven't in the past, so I just wanted to make sure that we had all our ducks in a row before we went ahead. And this way, this will happen. It is a very important subject, and it's evolved probably a lot more since the last time there was an advisory committee, so it is worthwhile revisiting it. A lot of these names on the list are very reputable people, so and I'm sure they'll have a lot of positive input if they're keen to get back on board. So I'm fully supportive of taking this step through this motion.
And I'd like to see with that as well that we go to Jackson and see if we can find, because they have a weed problem, and try and get the whole Maranoa involved in that committee. So I think it's a great move, and I think having a conversation and now changing somebody's mind to get on board is really good. So that's great. Anyone, would you like to speak, Councillor Vincent?
No, I just think hopefully everyone's on board with this one. It's important. Our landholders are on the ground. They're seeing what's happening with our pests and weeds. So, and we've got our portfolio chair. So I think it'll make a really good team to be able to bring them into one room and get as much advice for our teams as we can.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. It's still 14.2, isn't it? Yeah.
Building assessment report.
Yeah, I don't know why it got moved to close, but it's a different one.
That's two, yeah,
that's
two.
right.
One was
Yeah.
suspicious.
14.2, building assessment report. Do I have a mover? Councillor Hancock.
The council receive and note the officers' report as presented.
Have a seconder? Councillor Davis. Would you like to speak, councillor?
No, thank you.
Anyone like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Just noting Councillor Burkett has left the room.
It's all good. It's a different one.
Yeah. I turned the page and I realised I had a question.
Okay, will you just grab Steve for me as you go past? Could you grab Steve as you go past? Thank you.
14.3, Wallumbilla Showgrounds Precinct Master Plan. Do I have a mover?
You've got a conflict.
Oh, I have a conflict. Sorry, councillor.
I would like to declare a conflict on item 14.3, Wallumbilla Showgrounds Precinct Master Plan. Declaring council is myself. The particulars of the interest is myself and my wife, Kristen Seawright. I am the president and my wife is the secretary of the Wallumbilla Agricultural and Pastoral Association, which forms one of the user groups for the Wallumbilla Showgrounds. It's a prescribed conflict of interest, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Seawright has left the room.
I have a question, Mayor.
Yep.
But we might need an officer, but through you, CEO Rob. Can I authorise? I can see that we've got a GL number where we're taking the money from, but I don't know what that GL number is.
So you just wonder what that GL number is, just the
Please, I'd like to
description
know.
of the GL number.
Yeah,
we can find
like
that.
I don't know where we're taking that money from. Do we need to lay it on the table to get that?
We'll lay it on the table, just see if
We
Matt
can get it.
knows.
What have I missed?
I've just asked, in point 4, there's a GL number, but I'd like
It's
to
just
know.
we've got somebody in the gallery, so they're probably here for this reason. If we
Yeah.
can.
know what
Here
that
comes
is.
Steve, he'll know, won't he?
No, not. Well, he might do. Steve, we just started that GL number and that recommendation. Mate, do you know what the description of that GL number is? For that booking of that? No, it's all right. Maddie's going to go to finance and just do the description of the GL.
I move that we lay this on the table to further in the meeting, but we could just go on to the next one and come back to
Okay.
it if that's okay,
Yeah.
just knowing that we have a guest.
All those in favour of laying it on the table for a little while?
Piece of string.
8-0. We just ask Brendan to come back in. Brendan, we've just laid it on the table for a minute to get a piece of information, then we'll come back to it.
Okay.
So don't get comfortable in your chair, that's what I'm telling you. So we're going to go on to 14.4, applications through Regional Arts Development Fund, RADF Program 2023-24.
I have a conflict.
Oh, okay, now,
Just waiting for.
when you're ready.
Okay, I'd like to declare a conflict on item 14.4, applications through Regional Arts Development Fund, RADF Program 2024-25, declaring councillor is myself, the person with the interest is myself. Particulars of the interest, although I'm not a committee member of Biomat Creative Circle, I do participate in many activities conducted by the group, declarable conflict of interest, and I will leave the room while the matter's being discussed.
Can I just ask a question? You were part of the committee though?
No, I'm not, but I just think...
No, not their committee, the RADF committee?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
And I didn't participate
You
in
didn't,
this
you didn't,
discussion.
yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Yep. Thank you.
So I also do that too, but not this, yeah.
It's up to you, Jane, but
I just don't think
Do you go?
otherwise I go to the in-June rodeo too.
you're not a committee member.
No,
No, I'm not a committee member.
Yeah, no.
No.
I have a move on. Councillor Hancock.
I move that council endorse the RADF committee's grant assessment and assessment recommendations in supporting the Biomat Creative Circle application for $10,000.
I have a seconder, Councillor O'Neill. Would you like to speak, councillor?
Just to say, Madam Mayor, that once again, congratulations to the Biomat Creative Circle. They are applying for RADF funding and they're providing some great workshops for our community. RADF funding is based on the fact that you come in and the workshops happens and those skills stay in our area. So it just is constantly adding to the skills in our arts and culture area of council and in our community. And so congratulations to them on putting forward a really good application once again.
Very talented, aren't they? Breaks my heart. Do I have anyone else like to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
I'm supportive of this, and I like the fact that the RADF has moved to a rolling process, so that when these types of initiatives and opportunities are presented into our region, that they can go through the RADF process. So I think that's working really, really well, because I can remember a time where we'd have fixed rounds where we wouldn't be fully subscribed, but now it looks like there's a lot more of activity in this space. And I don't know whether it's this particular group being a Biomat Creative Circle, but I know a lot of activity in this space happens in the north of the region, and when they do these courses and workshops and whatnot, they're very active on social media, so the rest of the community gets to see the product of workshops and courses like this. So I think that's great, and I'm very supportive of this and happy to speak in favour and vote for it.
Anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up, councillor? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Are we right to go back? Yep. Fine. Councillor Seawright's left the room and Councillor Brumpton has come back. So we'll go back to 14.3, Wallumbilla Showgrounds Precinct Master Plan. And
No, I just had based on my question, just what the GL is for, please.
Yes, okay, I'm just sending you the description now, councillors, but it's the Economic and Community Development Support - Management Support resources. I'll just send that to you now.
Thank you.
Councillor Burkett.
I'm happy to move.
Yeah.
I'd like to move that Council 1 endorse the draft Wallumbilla Showgrounds Precinct Master Plan, subject to any amendments deemed necessary or recommended by Council. 2, provide a letter of support to the Wallumbilla Agricultural and Pastoral Association for the funding application to the Regional Precincts and Partnerships Program. 3, authorise Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to provide administrative assistance to prepare and submit this funding application. 4, authorise Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to accept the quote from Ross Planning for $8,000, excluding GST, with funds drawn from GL 2880/2001 to develop professional imagery and drawings to enhance this funding application.
They've just put in,
Sorry?
yeah,
Economic Development Community Support is the GL number.
yeah. Councillor O'Neill?
I'm happy to
A second, sorry, yeah.
Let's ask a question, another question. With the administrative assistance, is it just LDO time, and is it being submitted under council or the Wallumbilla Progress Showground?
So it'll be submitted under them, and the administration support will come from Economic Development Support Group there to do the application.
I actually got none of that, sorry. Sorry, Steve.
Sorry, big voice.
That'd be good.
So the support will come from Economic Development Department.
Oh, okay.
To do that, it's run separately, this one. And what was the first part of the question?
And
sorry?
who's applying?
Oh, who's the
name of the
grant will
application?
So it'll be the group that'll be applying for it.
Wallumbilla Agricultural and Pastoral Association.
But this is the same grant funding as Hobson Place, isn't it?
No, as the pool.
Oh, the pool.
Anybody else got any? Yes.
No, I'm ready to speak to it.
Oh, you can speak.
I just think this is a fantastic result to get a kickstart to this planning process. I know the Wallumbilla Agricultural and Pastoral Association has had this in the pipeline for a long time and waiting for it to kickstart. So I think this is a great way forward, and hopefully they're successful in some way down the track of getting some funding, and we hope to see the fruits of that in the next few years.
Anyone against? Anyone else like to speak for? Councillor O'Neill.
I'm supportive of this, and in speaking to it, I should acknowledge that the secretaries in the gallery today, Chrissy, and thank her and the Wallumbilla Ag and Pastoral Association for the work that they've done in pulling this together. It's been very much community led. And given that it is a council and community facility, it is upon us to work very closely with organisations like theirs to support where we can. They've obviously made some significant investments in the master planning process, and I think the least we can do is, as a region, as a council, is to support the financial contribution to get some professional imagery done and drawings that will go a long way. I believe in a funding application to the government. A picture tells 1,000 words, and I'm sure that this will get a favourable response when it gets down to Canberra, and it'll tick all the boxes in terms of investment that's required into regional centres.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor
I'd like to
Flynn.
speak for the motion. Obviously being involved in the original planning of the Wallumbilla Showgrounds area back in previous terms on council, it's great to see that we're able to use the services of Ross Planning, who had previous experience in this matter on this particular project. So very happy to support it.
Very good. Anyone else? Councillor Hancock.
I'd like to support this recommendation as well. Once again, I agree with Councillor O'Neill. Thank you to the committee. Thank you for attending the council meeting today. It does show that you're very passionate about it. I'd actually really like to acknowledge all the hard work that you and your committee have put in before you've come here today.
to get all the users of a facility on the same page to agree to a master plan is no small feat. And you did that, and you had all your ducks in a row, and then you come and presented to council. And I just really want to congratulate you for the process that you went through to get this project to where it is today. And I just really do support it. I hope you get the funding, and whatever we can do as a council to support a community group to upgrade our facilities for the community, I do think we should support.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Brompton.
The same with, as Councillor Hancock and those before have said, I would really like to congratulate the committee for what you've done and the very professional presentation you gave us as a combined group back in August to let us know what was happening with this, and this is now the final, the next stage of that to try and get the money. But it is wonderful to see a small community working together like this on a major plan and having the foresight and drive to get it to the stage that it's got, so congratulations.
Thank you. Councillor Vincent.
Yeah, I'd just like to congratulate the committee as well and all the user groups for coming together and working. It's great as a council. I know, from inside, outside, to have a partnership with a group that's so passionate and wants to put skin in the game, has an idea, and so I just wish them all the best in their application.
Very good. Anyone else like to speak? Only have one left, but okay. And I just going to say ditto, ditto, ditto. So very nice to see you, Chrissy. And they have the fact that you, as they said, got them all on the same page and worked together. That's amazing in itself. So good on you. Like, I just think the more, if we can help, the more we can do to help. But the fact that you're not even really asking for help as such, you're going to go through the grant process and all that. That is also really recommend. That's just great. So, Councillor Burkett, would you like to sum up?
Yeah, I think it's all been said, but I too like to congratulate you. The hard work, the patience. I know this has been a long process and frustrating, but I think in hindsight, it's probably a good thing because you got everyone together at a key time, which was now. And hopefully that holds you in good stead and there's a positive vibe to the powers that be, and that you get this happening, because I think it'll be great for the community and it'll just kickstart Wallumbilla to another level. So, all the best with everything, and thanks for all your hard work.
Okay, on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. We're up to the late, is that right?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Because the other one's another day, isn't it? Later than table one. Christmas one. Yeah, his wife. Oh,
Yeah, I've got him.
Sorry, mate.
Did
my best.
Right. L1, which is the Regional Flying Fox Management Plan imputation. I think I got that right. Do I have a mover? Councillor Hancock.
I move that Council 1 receive and note the report. 2, approve and publish the final Flying Fox Regional Management Plan to Council's website. 3, update the Surat community on the implementation plan for round 6, establishment of a long-term alternate roost management site. 4, develop a draft annual Maranoa Regional Council Flying Fox operational management plan based on recommendations in the Regional Flying Fox Management Plan.
I have a seconder. Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak?
I do. I just got a question. Are we going to only publicise it to the website, or are we going to maybe put some flyers around town or on notice boards, or how else are we going to communicate? How else are we going to update the Surat community?
Through the Mayor, Councillor Hancock, we had Matt in the briefing with communications, so we plan to let the community know through social media and through other communication channels.
Thank you.
Councillor Davis.
I've just got a question as well from the brief. Thanks for coming to the briefing with this. Has anything changed in this document from the briefing to today's date? I just can't see anything highlighted in here.
There was one slight change that we did discuss. It was in the Regional Flying Fox Management Plan recommendations. We were talking about some low impact activities, I guess, foraging, talking about tree replacement programs and, I'm sorry, it's in, on page number, let's see, item 11.1, just trying to think where's the page number on that. Page 46.
52 on ours.
It's 52 on ours.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Conflict management, investigation of a preferred foraging tree replacement program for impacted townships. Continued maintenance of existing buffer zones, greater than 60 metres between existing roosts. Investigation of minor to moderate vegetation management strategies. And I'm just sort of paraphrasing, some works may include, but not limited to, removal of understory, shrubby vegetation, native ground cover species, and I would just caveat that with a flora and fauna assessment before we go ahead with that sort of stuff under the Nature Conservation Act, and engaging consultants to assist us, where I think everything has to be done by the code of practice and flying fox management, but we did discuss trying to do some tangible outcomes for each community, especially Surat, where the scouts would come in early and we'd try to address that, those activities where we would just deter the scouts from actually being there in the first place.
Just have a follow-up question. Yeah. Thank you. That looks great. Just wondering, have we got an officer who, like, given our time now, have we got somebody in Surat that's monitoring the flying fox for this season?
Through the chair, Councillor Hancock, at the moment we'd probably need to train someone. It's not rocket science to look at bats, but at this stage we've still got the consultant on board to report back to us. So he's just done an assessment based on the previous round of funding, but there is activity already during the colony and in the roost. So I guess it would be just a knowledge transfer. So we could incorporate in that in the operational plan, if you like, where we could come back to council and report on the number of roosts and bats that are in the roosts around the region.
I suppose my question is, who's got their finger on the pulse with it? Who's the one monitoring? Like, is there somebody doing that? Is that yourself, or is it an environment team? Or is there somebody who's got a bit of a focus and oversee over that?
Absolutely. It's a great question. And this remit really belongs in the environmental health space, in Director Thea's portfolio. She's got a lot on at the moment. This came into my portfolio due to the Surat roost and the funding that was applicable to establishing an alternative roost in Surat, but we'd probably need to go back and have a look at that and see what regional resources we would need.
Yeah, I think just for the monitoring, I think just the council is sort of saying just keep an eye on the numbers there, so it's probably a combination of the two, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yep.
So does Surat have a rural lands officer? Is that
correct? Yep, that could potentially come into that portfolio.
Well, somebody's got to own the project, don't they?
Yes. Yes.
For now, council, this is my delivery project, and yeah, when it goes to operational, we'll figure out how to hand that over regionally.
Anyone got any other questions? Would you like to sum up, councillor?
I'll speak.
Oh, he hasn't spoken even.
No, it's
so
questions.
sorry.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mayor. I'm actually a little bit excited about today, just to have a plan that we've got going forward.
Keep you happy then, isn't it?
This has been a long road, and it's not over. It's actually just the start, I feel, because whilst the implementation of a Flying Fox Regional Plan, we have long-term
this is a long-term plan for our community. We still have to come up with, and I'm so happy to see in the report some of those options that we can do to continue to deal with the flying foxes. Not only in Surat, but also around the region, the other hotspots in our region. But I guess the focus is on Surat because it's right over the top of our water supply. And so I just am very excited that we are going to endorse the final Flying Fox Regional Management Plan, but I'm more excited about the operational plan that will fall out of that. And hopefully we'll be successful in being able to establish this new little space for the flying foxes to live downstream and away from our community, and that will be a win-win situation for both the flying foxes and for our community. It has been a long-term concern. All of us around the table, even the new councils in their short term being here, are fully aware of the impacts this has on our community, and so I just am very happy today that we're endorsing this plan. And thank you to the officers for all their hard work in applying for the funding, getting successful funding, and being able to establish this plan for our community.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Burke.
Yeah, I'll speak for. I just first of all thank Director Matt and Will. It's been a very thorough report, and the information at the briefing was, made everyone understand the where. I've been at a Surat meeting when the power was off and the windows were open, and we had to sit there and watch them wait. Looked like they were going to come through the window at us there for a bit, but it is a major problem there, and also in Roma and Mitchell. So fully supportive of this, and hopefully we can get it under control or shuffle along somewhere else. Thanks, Matt.
Anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up?
No, thank you.
Yeah, let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
L2, letter of support request from Multicap. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that Council 1 acknowledge Multicap's dedication to offering a permanent housing solution for NDIS participants and staff within the community, and to approve of a letter of support from the Mayor to strengthen Multicap's property acquisition proposal.
Seconder? Councillor Burkett. Would you like to speak?
Very briefly, this is a really good initiative that's come via Multicap. There's not too many duplexes that come up in our community, and they're obviously very keen to acquire it for their needs in and around NDIS and supporting community and people at the hospital, etc. And any weight that we can put behind a proposal like this to add something like this to our community is a positive one, and I'm happy to support it.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to speak too. I actually went to their opening the other day, where they've opened a new facility, which was really, really good. And they have some clients that are already doing the they call it multi-living, whatever they call it anyway. They share a house. But that house is actually up for sale, so they're worried that, and they rent it, so they were worried that they might, so they were looking for alternatives just in case they have to get out, because I was speaking to one of the mums of one of the clients, and she said it's just been so good for her daughter to get out and feel independent, and and so I just, when they asked me would we send a letter, I thought, well, that's the least we can do, because they're working really hard. I think they've got about 35 clients from what they said the other day, and I think they'll make a big impact. So the fact that they're looking to invest as well is a great thing. So, and there's not too many houses around that can house multi-living arrangements. So very supportive of this. So anyone else like to speak? Would you like to say them up, Councillor?
No, thank you.
Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0.
Thanks, Georgie, for pulling that together. Short notice, mate.
Yes, thanks, Georgie.
You're right.
I didn't see you come
Put
in.
that letter together for you to sign, that'd be good.
That's all we've got in open, is it?
Yeah, we just got one laid on the table of just probably adding an extra dot point around those waste facility days, so we'll deal with that after we come back out.
Okay. Have I got somebody wanting to move into closed? Oh, can we do the conflicts first, please? Yeah, sorry. Councillor Flynn.
C5. I had it all here ready to go. Item C5, advertising at Roma Airport and Roma Sale Yards. I'm declaring out Councillor Peter Flynn. As far as the person with interest goes, it's myself. The particular of the interest, I'm currently on the executive of the Roma Turf Club, and matter being discussed, the Roma Turf Club is noted in this particular matter. I have a prescribed conflict of interest, and I will leave the room when this matter is being discussed. We're going to item C6.
LC3?
LC3?
LC3, yep. Kel's got them listed.
Can you see it up there? It's up. No.
LC3, Roma Airport Regular Public Transport Services Update. Declaring councillor is Councillor Peter Flynn. The person with interest is myself. The particulars of interest, I currently have an agreement with Rex Airlines with regard to the provision of resident and business airfares for the Maranoa region, and in doing so I believe I have a conflict of interest, a prescribed conflict of interest in this matter, and I will leave the room and not take part in any discussion when this matter is being discussed.
Okay, can I have somebody move into close? Councillor Brompton.
In accordance with the provisions of Section 254J3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, I move that Council resolve to close the meeting to the public at 10:18 to discuss confidential items so that councillors consider necessary to close the meeting. In accordance with Section 254J5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the following table provides the matters to be discussed, an overview of what is to be discussed whilst the meeting is closed. C1, request for reduction on water usage charges 14018907. C2, tender award, construction of Bollen Road packages 2 and 3, upgrade to sealed standard RRUP. C3, Yulbar water play tender consideration plan. C4, Mungalala water main installation required adjustment. C5, advertising at Roma Airport and Roma Sale Yards. C6, tender 2500 award in-June aerodrome lighting upgrade. C7, request for waiver of building application fees 79 to 81 Duke Street, Roma. C8, tender 25003 unbound pavement crushing campaign. LC1, Wallumbilla Swimming Pool Management Agreement. LC2, Roma Rugby Union Football Club request for assistance. LC3, Roma Airport Regular Public Transport Services Update. That is it.
That's it. Councillor Davis.
Can we just amend, I believe we've left a number of the 2500 tender. It should be 000.
So we'd have to go back to tender 25000.
Yeah.
I'll say that again, that's C6, will I? Item C6, tender 25000 award, in-June aerodrome lighting upgrade.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Councillor Davis. All those in favour? 9-0. We're now enclosed. In favour?
No, second.
Seconder, Councillor Hancock. All those in favour? 9-0. Back in open, and we're going to go back to 10.1, which is Council Christmas and New Year closure 2024-2025. Councillor Brompton, were you doing that one?
I was doing that one.
Yep.
We sought some advice to get the right wording around some of this.
So, councillors, just on the first part, the actual dates there for the Australia Post, it just said the Christmas period, and the question was asked, what is the Christmas period? And it is the same. So it's Friday the 20th of December through to Monday the 6th. So
So I've just included that in the resolution. The second question was just down the bottom, Kel, on about the Roma landfill. So number 5, it was just about the Roma waste facilities, and the question was asked, what about the other waste facilities? Are we looking at closures there? At this point in time, they are open. We are looking at going to tender for the actual opening and closing of them, but that hasn't undertaken yet. So if there is a change to that, we can bring a separate report back for those. But at this stage, they are open at this stage.
Mayor.
And if it changes, we will bring a report back after that tender.
Thanks, CEO.
Oh, well, you've got to do it now.
Yeah.
I think I've just realised I might have a conflict of interest.
I actually thought that before, but when you didn't, I thought it was just about are you talking about the Australia Post?
So normally I haven't declared a conflict of interest because it's just been Australia Post, but I've just realised that with the changing of the hours for the Australia Post, that I might have conflict of interest.
Okay. You're right, you can declare, yep.
So I'm sorry, Cal.
She's been getting that a lot lately. Sorry, Cal. It's a bit tricky really, isn't it? Because it's really nothing to do with you. When you're ready.
Person with interest is Threat Post News. PTY Ltd, sorry, Cal. And particulars of interest, Threat Post and News run a mail contract. That includes mail pickup from the Yulba post office. It's a declarable conflict of interest. And I will put it to the room. Although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias, therefore I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Someone want to move? Councillor Seawright.
I move that as in the public interest that Councillor Hancock participates and votes on the agenda item 10.1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Seconder. Councillor Burkett. All those in favour? 8-0. Thank you. Councillor Brompton.
Okay, I'll have my third attempt at saying all this. I move that Council 1 approve the annual Christmas and New Year closure for the general workforce from close of business Friday the 20th of December 2024 and reopening on Monday the 6th of January 2025. 2, approve the closure of the Yulba Post Office on the gazetted public holidays only. All other business days will operate as usual. Australia Post has approved reduced operating hours over the Christmas period of 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. from Friday the 20th of December 2024 to Monday the 6th of January 2025. 3, approve the annual Christmas and New Year closures of the following council libraries in Jackson, Wallumbilla and Mungalala from close of business Friday the 23rd of December 2024 and reopening Monday the 13th of January 2025. 4, approve the annual Christmas and New Year close down for the field-based operational teams of Roma, Bungle, Bendemeer, Waroo and Baringa, the Project Management Office and Roma Quarry, excluding those services identified below as essential services requiring skeleton crews, from close of business Friday the 23rd of December 2024 to Monday the 6th of January 2025. 5, approve that the Roma Waste Facility be closed to the public on Christmas Day, the 25th of December 2024, and New Year's Day, the 1st of January 2025, and that 2 15-metre skip bins be provided outside the facility for public use for the days of closure. 6, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to communicate the annual Christmas and New Year closures to council employees, customers, residents and the general public.
I have a seconder. Councillor O'Neill. Would you like to speak, councillor?
Through you, Mayor, I was just going back, councillor Robertson, to point 2. I've just added their close of business to mirror point 1.
Point 2. From 90. Produce. Oh, okay. That wouldn't. 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. isn't normally close of business because it's reduced hours.
Yeah.
So leave it as it was, I think.
Yep.
No,
Yeah.
from close of business, keep reading the sentence.
Friday, 20th of December 2024. So
That's the period.
after 20th of December
So after
2024,
close, yeah.
it'll be 9 a.m.
So-
to 1
Oh,
p.m.
see, I wouldn't do
So
approve reduced operating hours 9 to 1. Wouldn't we
Is
just
it-
put has approved reduced operating hours from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. from close of business Friday to Monday 6 January?
okay, so the
Like
9
I-
a.m. to 1 p.m. comes in after it comes in from
I would remove.
But Saturday, the
Monday.
21st.
Yes, yeah.
I would just remove over the Christmas period and just put operating hours 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. from close of business Friday to Monday, which mirrors
Yes.
the top.
Yep, okay. I'll re-say that one. 2, approve the closure of the Yulbar Post Office on the gazetted public holidays only. All other business days will operate as usual. Australia Post has approved reduced operating hours 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. from close of business Friday the 20th of December 2024 to Monday the 6th of January 2025.
Now, I have a
Is the
seconder.
seconder, have we got
I'm
a
happy
seconder
with
yet? Yeah.
That all good? All right. Would you like to speak, councillor?
I don't
No,
think.
you already had a seconder before. That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
you had
before, yeah. You happy with that, councillor Vincent? Very good.
I don't think I need to
Don't.
speak to it after the amount of discussion.
Would
has occurred.
anyone like to speak? We're all good? Okay, let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. We'll move on to C1. Request for reduction of water usage charges 140-18907. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move the council, 1, receive and note the request and approve, and 2, not approve the waiver.
And 3.
And 3, write to the applicant to advise of council's provision in consideration of hardship. Sorry, not approve the reduction in water usage charges for the water period of the 6th of the 10th, 2023 to the 16th of the 5th, 2024.
All right. Seconder? Councillor Vincent. Would you like to speak, councillor?
No, thank you.
Would anyone like to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C2, tender award, construction of the Bollen Road Package 2 and 3, upgrade to the sealed standard RRUP. Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that Council 1 select Suffocon Proprietary Limited as the recommended tenderer of Package 2 of the Bollen Road Upgrade Project for an anticipated contract sum of $7,146,100, excluding GST. 2, select Durac Civil Proprietary Limited as the recommended tenderer for Package 3 of the Bollen Road Upgrade Project for an anticipated contract sum of $3,359,940, excluding GST. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to enter into final negotiations with both tenderers, noting the anticipated contract sum values above, and execute each contract in its final terms are acceptable. 4, authorise the nominated superintendent for council the delegation to order variations up to the value of the approved project budget, noting the nature of the contract and the requirements to use variations to achieve project goals. 5, note the Bolling Road project scope is slightly reduced to a total of approximately 17.6 kilometres due to funding limitations, while the Redford Road and Yulbar-Surat Road strategic bitumen extensions are scheduled to deliver the full 8.75 kilometres upgrade to seal standard for each road.
Have a seconder? Councillor Brompton, would you like to speak, councillor?
I just think this is great that we're finally getting to the stage where we can get some work done on this road. It's been in the pipeline for a little while now, and I look forward to seeing both companies do an excellent job on their roads.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Gonna go, oh, did you say yes? No. Okay, let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C3, Yulbar Water Play Tender Consideration Plan. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move the Council 1 resolve in accordance with Section 230 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 to adopt a tender consideration plan for construction of the Yulbar Water Play project. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to negotiate and enter into a large-scale contractual arrangement with an estimated value of $886,655 excluding GST, with Bow Corp Projects Proprietary Limited to design and construct the Yulbar Water Play.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Seawright, would you like to speak, councillor?
Thanks, Mayor. This is an exciting development. This has been a long time coming for the Yulbar community. This is part of the original APLNG workers agreement the council negotiated 8 years ago now, and there's been a lot of consultation done with the Yulbar community in relation to where that money should be spent and what some of the priorities are for this community within the Maranoa, and this came out as a major priority for them. And I think it won't just be the Yulbar community that will benefit from this project coming to fruition. I think the entire Maranoa will, and I can see a lot of families heading to Yulbar to use the new asset, and I think that'll be great for the small businesses that are in Yulbar.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Burkett.
Yeah, just to follow on from Councillor O'Neill, I think I'd just like to thank the staff over in the last term under Deputy Director Cam Hoffman and Lucy. Did a hell of a lot of work with this, and I think it's going to be great to see the kids enjoy play park. They mightn't have a pool in Yulbar, but this is the next best thing, and I think it's great for the inclusion under the Yulbar Master Project.
Very good. Anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up, Councillor O'Neill?
No.
Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C4, Mungalala Water Main Installation Required Adjustment. Do I have a mover? Councillor Vincent.
I move that Council 1 review the Mungalala bore connection design. 2, retender the construction with the amended design. And 3, request an internal quote from the Baringa Plumbing Team, which includes a time frame for completion.
And our seconder is Councillor Burkett. Would you like to speak, councillor?
No.
Anyone like to speak?
Just to say that it's great for the future security of water in Mungalala. Over the last 30 or so years, there's always been issues there, but this is going a long way to solve any future problems.
Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C5, advertising at the Roma Airport and the Roma Sale Yards. Sorry, Councillor Flynn's just leaving the room. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that Council 1 invite the expressions of interest submitters to present at a future briefing. 2, engage with other relevant stakeholders. And 3, initiate the development of a region-wide advertising policy to come back via an upcoming briefing.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Seawright, would you like to speak, councillor?
No, thank you.
Anybody like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C6, tender 25000 award, Injune Airdrome lighting upgrade. Do I have a mover? Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I'd like to move that Council 1 select Airside Services Pty Ltd as the recommended tenderer for tender 25000 Injune Aerodrome lighting upgrade. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to enter into final negotiations with Airside Services Pty Ltd, noting the price included in the report for the contract sum of $264,551.67, exclusive of GST, and execute the contract if the final terms are acceptable.
Do you have a seconder? Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak, Councillor? No. Anyone like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C7, request for waiver of building application fees 79 to 81 Duke Street, Roma. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brompton.
I move that council grant a waiver of the application fee of $890 for the resubmitted building application for a carport located at 79 to 81 Duke Street, Roma. Original reference 2021/20469.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Seawright, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Only to say, Madam Mayor, that the waiver is purely because of a council error, so we don't believe that the resident should have to pay the fee.
Okay, anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C8, tender 25003, unbound payment crushing campaign. Do I have a mover? Councillor Davis.
I recommend that Council 1 select Glendun Group Pty Ltd as the recommended tenderer for tender 25003, unbound crushing campaign reseal program. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to enter into final negotiations with Glendun Group Pty Ltd, noting the pricing and rates included in the report for an approximate contract sum value of $2,172,500 inclusive of GST. Do we normally go exclusive in
Yeah,
our reports?
normally do. Sometimes.
A bit of both.
It can depend, yeah.
Inclusive of GST, and execute the contract if the final terms are acceptable. 3, authorise the nominated superintendent for council the delegation to order variations up to the value of the approved budget, noting the nature of the contract and the variability associated with the unbound pavement production process.
Have a seconder? Councillor O'Neill.
And just for clarity, you moved that, didn't you, Councillor Davis?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Just that we had a very good response to the tender document, tender request. We're looking at 2,000 tonnes a day to be pulled out, and this gives council best value for money, and that we're able to deliver those programs.
Anyone else like to speak for or against? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Moving on to the late.
Council's LC1 contractor said they'll have a price practice within the hour, so we can do the other two and have lunch. I'll keep an eye on email, see if it comes in.
So we might just,
LC2?
you want to lay LC1 on the table?
Later, I move we lay LC1 on the table to further in the meeting.
All those in favour? 9-0. LC2, Roma Rugby Union Football Club request for assistance. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brompton.
I move that Council 1 provide a letter of agreement to the Roma Rugby Union Football Club for their application for the Play Our Way program to upgrade Gallus Fox Park. 2, provide in-principle support to the Roma Rugby Union Football Club for in-kind assistance pending they are successful in their grant application. 3, be provided a further report confirming the outcome of their grant application and specific in-kind assistance requests.
Have a seconder? Councillor Flynn, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Just to say, we received information that the football club has been very proactive in accessing, trying to access a grant to provide improvements, and we're willing to assist where we can within our financial capacity if they actually are successful. So we'll see how they go.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Davis.
I'm just wondering about the .1, provide a letter of agreement. What is that the right word?
Letter of support.
Yeah, it's usually a letter of support.
Well, it is our land as well, so.
Okay.
And it might be wording on the funding application, actually.
Yeah, because it's
Ask
ours.
for a letter that we agree to the fact that they apply for the second stage of this grant. Because we're the trustee leases.
Yeah, that's right. It'll be that wording.
Yeah, okay. Would anyone else like to speak?
Yeah, sorry, just a letter on page 40, it says letter of agreement confirming council's approval to conduct the works on the trustee land, and that will be in relation to the grant application. Letter of agreement.
Okay, nobody else likes to speak, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. LC3, Roma Airport Regular Public Transport Services Update. Oh, Councillor Flynn's just leaving the room. I keep forgetting that. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that council, 1, receive and note the officer's report by way of update on the matter. 2, respond to the Department of Transport and Main Roads' latest correspondence on the matter. And A, reaffirm the conditions of the original approval as per Resolution OM 08202477. B, reaffirm that council is committed to working with DTMR and the current or alternate provider to expand seating capacity into the Roma Airport and also deliver broader benefits to the southwest region. However, note that council is not in favour of expanding immediately into both phase 1 and 2, and encourage the department to focus on delivery of phase 1 of the proposal at this stage, given the uncertainty around a number of factors that were outlined in council's original response. And D, provide the estimated costs of screening services for phase 1 and 2, noting that council is only in a position to internally execute phase 1. Council is concerned about the viability of staffing a 3-day-week screening service, and the phase 2 services would have to be delivered by a contractor, and costs and availability for a contractor to deliver this service confirmed through a tender process.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Brumpton, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yeah, thanks very much, Mayor. We're obviously affirming the position that council made only a meeting or two ago in respect to our position on the offer from the department in assisting with the costs associated with the reintroduction of screening services at the Roma Airport. We have advocated as a council, both this term and last term, to see an increase in capacity. That hasn't changed. Our community are telling us that they need access to more seats because that will help not only provide extra opportunities to utilise the service, but you would hope that it would actually drive down the costs associated with flying in and flying out of Roma, particularly for our community members, and their access, the ability to access the community airfares of which are on offer through the current provider. I think this is very clear that council is in a position to gratefully accept the contribution that has been, or the offer of a contribution made by the Department of Transport and Main Roads to facilitate that on a Friday. And there is still a body of work and due diligence that needs to be undertaken to understand the financial viability and the ability to see that expanded onto other days through a third party. So I think this is making our position very clear. And I just want to stress again, our intention has been to see an increase in capacity on this service.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? On that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. So we're just going to break for lunch, adjourn for lunch, and we might just see what time we get the other in before. All right, we're going back to LC1, Wallumbilla Swimming Pool Management Agreement. Do I have a mover? Councillor Seawright.
I move that council enter into a short-term management agreement with Melissa Sutton as trustee for the Mel Sutton Family Trust to manage the Wallumbilla Swimming Pool from the 2nd of October 2024 to the 1st of October 2025, with the option to extend by mutual agreement on a month-to-month basis after this date. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to execute the management agreement. 3, allocate the management fees of $121,435.89, including public liability, excluding GST, to the Operational Work Order 14278.2325 Wallumbilla Pool Management Fees. 4, initiate discussions with the Department of Education regarding the future contract between the Department and the Maranoa Regional Council for management of the Wallumbilla Swimming Pool. 5, be provided a briefing following discussions. A further briefing following discussions.
Okay, have a seconder. Councillor O'Neill, would you like to speak, councillor?
No, thanks. So
Would anybody like to speak? Right, let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Does anybody have anything else?
Did we get back to everything, Phil?
Everything's done? All right. I'll close the meeting at 2:14 and thank you all for your attendance.